I see social practice as a ever so inclusive consideration and action. It's a very new term to me because in my career I snicker actually at the number of identifiers or nomenclature that have been applied to the same. I mean, my action has, of course, changed only through evolutionary experience, but at the same time, the intent, the spirit of intent, has really been the same through all these decades. But I think the one aspect that is very refreshing to me, having been engaged in this process for so many years of social sculpture, community-based participatory art making. I mean, I could go on and on in terms of all these different names, but I've never seen it in a silo. My effort has been that the socialization of a community or a collective of people is that we are in this shared practice of life. And life does not sort of decide that, oh, there is this boundary you don't go beyond, that it's essential that they fuse and link and become a sort of circular event, because everything is linked and it doesn't stand alone. So from the outset of my efforts in this arena of interaction with using art as my vehicle, as my catalytic force, was to bring all the sociology, agriculture, education, politics, celebration, ritual, all the parts and pieces that make the whole, and look at how we weave this thing we call life together in a single action of collective force. And it's not an easy endeavor, simply because in the last 2 to 3 decades, we have, as a society, become a selection of silos of, oh, you can choose one discipline or the other, and you do that in almost autonomy, which is sadly, I think, why we have such a divided culture, because we have seen it's an either or, and oh my God, how broad is that gray in our lives? I mean, I'd say it is, like, encompasses most of it. So I guess I work in that gray and find myself and through that gray, you find yourself on both sides of those polars. And that those polars, in a wild kind of way, I think, are the activism of this work. They drive you to feel the need for a posture of contrarian, or that there's at this juncture there is no choice. It is a white or a black. But at the same time, I would say staying clear of those polars and looking for that collaborative, what I refer to as the reciprocal collaboration, that requires all sides to be constantly in movement and looking to interact in order to face all those challenges that the white and the black seem to poise us with on a regular basis.
Can you describe your project for us?
Yes, the project that I started 20 years ago in the city of Los Angeles was taking a vacant fallow piece of land that had ostensibly become the garbage collection center for the community, and framing it as a possible renderer of collective voice. That I responded to the unrest, the civil unrest in the city of Los Angeles in 1992, that my response was that the sense of inequality that we definitely feel so much now was ever so loud, and that was what fed part of the unrest. So I took this vacant fallow piece of land, and I actually initiated the project as a guerrilla, to get the action and not lose that juice and that energy from that event, and got a collection of about 15 teenagers from the Highland Park area. And we literally went in and occupied this piece of land and began to clean it and envision it as a public youth art park. And in the interim, I had done all the research, found out who owned it, and made appeals in writing. But knowing that it could take forever to actually get a response, this is why we guerrilled it. Well, here we are 20 years later, and La Tierra de la Culebra actually birthed an organization which originally was called ArtsCorpLA, and which was a play on words and letters, and it was E.E. Cummings inspired, and with small, and it was our nemesis. No one ever got it. And it was supposed to be the Art Army, a play on Latin, Spanish, and everyone wanted it to be ArtsCorp's Los Angeles. So it then, which was truly a haunt. So you'd start your conversation with people correcting them. What a great way to engage. So we then adopted our acronym, which is ACLA, Art Community Land Activism.